Hi there, it's me again, Lavanya. In today's discussion, we are continuing our thought process on Unmai vilakkam book. We are going to start with the 29th song or 29th verse. Just a small recap. The disciple went to the Guru asking for one question. Can you tell me who you are, as in who is God? So, the Guru started explaining the concept of God, and that is where we were discussing about the concept called Advaitam. And in Advaitam, we are talking about three things. One is God and soul is different, God and soul is inseparable, and God and soul is together. Now, it might sound a bit confusing, but once we see this with an example, it will be more easier. Let's look at verse number 29 and then we will move on to a small recap and we will see all the three together. Verse number 29 goes this way. அக்கரங்கட்கு எல்லாம் அகர உயிர் நின்றார் போல் மிக்க உயிர்க்கு உயிராய் மேவினோம் எக்கண்ணும் நில்லா இடத்து உயிர்க்கு நில்லாது அறிவென்று நல் ஆகமம் ஓதும் நாடு. In this particular verse, he is talking about a very interesting concept. There is a letter called as A in Tamil, and that is the one which starts with all the syllables. So, when you talk about the syllables, it starts with A, not A, it's A. And how is this word pronounced? Without any effort. We don't need to put in any effort in order to utter this particular word. The moment we open our mouth, the default sound is A. Similar to what we are seeing in God. God is almost similar to that because we need to always understand something we know in order to understand something we don't know. So, only based on something we know, we can comprehend something we don't know. That is why if you talk about God, it might not be so easy for us to comprehend the concept. That is why the Guru is giving an example which we are all able to see, perceive and comprehend so that we can understand the something that is something beyond our thought process or our imagination. Similar to A, which is the first letter in Tamil, similar to that, God is going to be there. He is there in almost everything. Whether it is a living thing or a non-living thing, He needs to be there. If He is not going to be in that, that particular object is of no use. And there is no possibility that He is not going to be part of it. And that is what today we are going to talk about as togetherness. We have already seen God and soul is different. God and soul is inseparable. Today we are going to talk about God and soul being together. So how does this come in together? Similar to the word A in Tamil, God is there in almost every single being. Whether it is a living being or a non-living being, He is going to be there. And that is the reason if you look at Thirukkural, one of the most important texts, if you look at the verses in Thirukkural, beautifully said is Agara Mudala Ezhuthellam. The entire text starts with this example saying that similar to it's called as the prayer song, and the prayer verse starts with Agara Mudala, which is God is almost similar to the Agara, A from the Tamil letter. Now, this is how we are looking at how God and soul is together. Now, let's understand these three songs together as in verse number 27, 28, 29 in order to have a better understanding, because I know this particular concept is a little bit confusing one and it is not so easy to comprehend the concept. I know that. I'm trying my best to bring it out in English, but I'm not sure if I'm successful in this. Anyways, I'm leaving it to the Almighty and I'm trying my best to explain it with a simple analogy. Let's look at a simple analogy over here. If you look at the concept of mixture, it is together, right? It is single, it is inseparable. and at the same time he is going to be different as well. Now let's look at an example. Imagine I want to write a letter. I want to write a letter to someone. So what I need to do, I need to take a paper, I need to take a pen. Now the pen has an ink in it. Now let's take this analogy in order to understand or comprehend the concept of inseparable, different and together. Now what happens is, the paper and ink must come together in order to form the words. Without that, without the togetherness, we won't be able to come up with a letter, right? So pen and ink, ink and paper must come together. But if you look at the characteristics, attribute of a paper, attribute of ink, it is totally different. We cannot say both are the same. Paper is made out of a totally different material, ink is made out from a totally different material. So in terms of the characteristics, in terms of the attributes, these two are different. So remember, it is different, but they come in together so that it becomes a letter. Once we write on the paper, can you separate it? We cannot. If you don't have a paper and I am simply scribbling on air, obviously it is of no use. Only when it is written in paper together, it comes in together, and at the same time it becomes inseparable. Only based on this inseparable concept we get the end product, which is a letter. So now you comprehend this idea, it will be more easier. This can be taken even for a simple ice cream. Can we separate the coldness and ice cream separately? We won't be able to do it. When you say ice cream, it's supposed to be chill, it's supposed to be cold. Can we separate it? We won't be able to separate it. So it is inseparable. But at the same time, if you look at the way how the ice cream is manufactured, and if you look at the way how it is chilled, characteristics, it is totally different. Characteristic of ice cold is different. Characteristic of an ice cream is different. When it comes together and it becomes inseparable, only then we can call it as an ice cream. Unless at that particular minute we cannot call it as an ice cream. But if you look at it, ice cream is different, the mixture is different, and the ice cold attribute is different. This is what somehow you can comprehend it. I'm not sure if I really made it very clear. I'm trying my best. I'm leaving it to the Almighty to give the clarity. If you have any better examples, feel free to comment in the YouTube channel, and we'll be more than happy to acknowledge that. I'll come back again with the next song very soon. Until then, bye-bye.